My name is John Gerard. It's April 97. They're strapping my wrists now. The rope cuts into my skin.
Please.
I can smell the rust on the
Told you all
chains.
I know.
They told me this device has a name. They call it the Duke of Exeter's daughter. I don't understand why. Not yet. The lever creaks. My shoulders, God help me, they're pulling apart. This is the story of England's most feared torture device, the rack, and the man who survived it.
The rack was a wooden frame with rollers at each end. Simple in design, devastating in execution. Victims were laid flat on their backs, their wrists tied to one roller, their ankles to another. Then the torturer would turn a lever, slowly, methodically. With each rotation, the rollers pulled the body in opposite directions. Joints separated, tendons tore, muscles ripped from bone. But here's what made the rack truly horrific. It didn't kill you quickly. The pain could last for hours, sometimes days, and you remained conscious through all of it. In England, there was only one place where racking was legal, the Tower of London. And between 1540 and 1640, at least 81 people experienced what John Gerard was about to endure.
The Tower of London wasn't just a fortress. It was England's prison for enemies of the crown, traitors, spies, and during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, Catholic priests. You see, England in the 1590s was gripped by religious paranoia. The Catholic Church viewed Elizabeth as illegitimate. Protestant England saw Catholic priests as foreign agents plotting assassination. And the government needed confessions. They needed names, locations, proof of conspiracy. The rack provided those confessions, or at least it provided something that could be called a confession. John Gerard was a Jesuit priest. He'd been operating in secret, celebrating illegal Catholic masses in noble houses across England. When he was captured in 1594, the authorities wanted more than just Gerard. They wanted the names of every Catholic sympathizer in England, and they were willing to break him to get them.
For 3 years, Gerard was held in the Tower, interrogated repeatedly, offered deals, threatened with execution. He refused to talk. So in April 1597, they brought him to the chamber, the torture chamber, a room most prisoners only heard about through the stone walls. The chamber was underground, cold, lit by torches that created dancing shadows on the rough stone walls. And in the center of the room sat the rack. Gerard later wrote that when he first saw it, he felt his legs weaken. He knew what was coming. Every prisoner knew. The tower guards made sure the screams carried through the corridors. They ordered him to lie down on the wooden frame. He complied. What choice did he have? 2 men worked the device, professional torturers, employees of the crown. They asked him one more time, "Will you give us the names?" Gerard said no. So they began to turn the lever.
The rack worked on a simple mechanical principle. Each turn of the lever moved the rollers approximately 2 inches apart. It doesn't sound like much, but the human body wasn't designed to stretch. In the first few minutes, victims felt intense pressure in their shoulders and hips. The joints resisted, but the rack was stronger. By the second turn of the lever, shoulder joints began to separate from their sockets. The sound, witnesses described it as a soft popping noise, like knuckles cracking, but louder. Gerard later wrote that the pain was beyond description. He said it felt like his arms and legs were being torn from his body. But they weren't. Not yet. The torturers knew exactly how far they could go without causing death, because death would end the interrogation, and the interrogation had just begun. Between each turn of the lever, they would stop, ask questions, demand names, offer mercy in exchange for confession. Gerard gave them nothing, so they turned the lever again and again. His shoulders fully dislocated, his hip joints strained to the breaking point. Witnesses said his body stretched so far that you could see the outline of every bone through his skin. Gerard passed out from the pain. They threw cold water on him, woke him up, and continued. The session lasted 3 hours.
I couldn't breathe. My chest wouldn't expand. I felt my ribs cracking under the pressure. I begged them to stop, not for mercy, just for it to end, to kill me, anything but this. But they needed names, and I had none to give, or at least none I would give.
When they finally released him from the rack, John Gerard couldn't walk. He couldn't use his arms. His hands were useless. For weeks, he couldn't even feed himself. But he hadn't broken. He gave them nothing. The authorities knew they'd failed. They'd used their most effective weapon, and Gerard had endured it. Confessions extracted under torture were legally questionable anyway, but a man who survived the rack without confessing, that made him dangerous in a different way, a symbol. 2 years later, in 1597, Gerard did something remarkable. Despite his damaged body, he escaped. He used a rope to cross the Tower Moat at night, made it to a safe house, eventually fled England entirely. He lived until 1337, 40 more years, and he wrote everything down.
Gerard's account is one of the few detailed descriptions we have of what racking actually felt like. Most victims didn't survive long enough to write about it, or they were too traumatized to speak of it. The rack was eventually outlawed in England. The last official use was in 1640. Public opinion had turned against torture, not because of moral objections, but because confessions obtained through agony were worthless. Today, you can visit the Tower of London, stand in the very chamber where Gerard was tortured. The original rack is long gone, but replicas show visitors what the device looked like. What they don't show is this. In 2014, the UN documented cases of torture in 141 countries. Many used techniques designed to cause maximum pain while leaving minimal evidence. The tools have changed. The power dynamics haven't. Gerard survived because he had something worth protecting, something stronger than pain. His faith, his principles, his refusal to betray others. The rack broke his body, but it never broke him.
And that's why, 400 years later, we still remember his name.